So I did a talk for young people between their teenagers to adolescence on this really common phenomenon that we have these days, I would say in the modern era for the most part, of people just frivolously and carelessly dating each other because it's a very popular thing to do, and we have all this attraction that happens so much, especially in that tender age where your emotional center is in fact still developing, climaxing at its peak from the teen years until just after that, into the decades. And what I see all the time is you have these, light, superficial dating that happens very young in high school. And I think we don't really promote or teach about relationship values or virtues in most cultures. So people just very naturally pursue relationships without really having an idea of what they want or what they're doing. And when we do that, what you see is that people are very superficial. And when you're at that age, when you're a teenager or a young adult, especially if you're not experienced, it's very easy to feel, first off, it's a very fresh, exciting new experience to start dating for the first time. And if you find out somebody likes you and they're reasonably attractive, most of the time you'll just take that opportunity. And I think it's good to take opportunities like that. You might as well, but at the same time, when it comes to things like relationships, I don't think it's a good idea, because most of the time what you see is people are just picking up whoever, and I mean, and dating too, like dating whoever whoever they see nearby that they find attractive, charming, cute, or handsome. They may have been friends with them for a while, or maybe not. They just kind of met them, and they both kind of hit it off. But the motive is, or the original point of attraction is just that first layer of charm. They have the hots for each other. They both think that the other is really cute and attractive, and that's it. There's not much more going on. And it's really bad because, unfortunately, so much pain and confusion comes after that when two people don't have much idea what they want or what they're doing. And experience is nice, but it's very painful when you're with the wrong person and things go downhill, especially at that age where everyone is still developing. They're not mature yet. When you're a teenager, you're not very developed. Your adult brain starts to kick in more so between 18 and 21. Then things start to stabilize and you start to be more certain in yourself, and you know what you want. You don't change your mind as much. Not to mention that your emotional center has peaked its development and is starting to stabilize. So you don't have these huge emotions that you have to deal with as much. Some of the worst relationship traumas happen in high school, because it's not because the situation is extreme or very detrimental per se. It's because you can't handle it. You can't handle it. You're a teenager. And that's why it hurts you so bad, right? You can't handle the criticism. You can't handle the gossip. You can't handle that your ex-girlfriend seems to, out of nowhere, despise you and won't talk to you for months and is talking behind your back this whole time. Like, this horrible stuff that people go through. And on the opposite, of course, the men also do bad things too. There are narcissists on both ends. There's bullying and so much drama. And that's just the really bad, the really ugly of this. But the common thing that I see, the common problem is you're with the wrong person. This is what I addressed in the previous talk. And after the relationship, when it runs its course, because these people had that basis of just the surface level attraction, there's nothing left after. So when they break up, they don't talk to each other. They don't stay friends. They realize later on that they really don't want to. They don't have a sincere interest in the other person, their life, their hobbies. They don't want to hear, the guy doesn't want to hear what kind of knitting projects she's doing, what kind of books she's reading. And she doesn't want to hear the accomplishments he's getting in his boxing and his sports. And she doesn't want to do that stuff or talk about it. Or this car that he got. She doesn't like cars or video games. So there's no substantiality in so many of these relationships. And what I wanted to address in this talk is that in another severe case, not only do sometimes you like the person and you get together with the wrong person, but sometimes, especially at this young range between teenagehood and very early 20s, people get obsessed sometimes with each other. And the thing is, I'm saying this happening for no reason. Like there's no really good reason why sometimes your buddy in high school is so obsessed with this girl. I read a book years ago when I was studying dating, and it's called The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, which is an anonymous name. He wants to stay anonymous, right? And he made up this syndrome that I think everyone can experience this, but it was more so for men he was addressing, that men go through, and it's called Oneitis. This syndrome, Oneitis syndrome, where I think you can guess what it means, right? You are fixated on one person. So the thing I'm addressing is, the question is, when you find yourself so obsessed with somebody, you have this really hard crush, you're like so in love with this person per se, you're in love with the person. This stranger, maybe you don't know their name, or maybe she doesn't know your name. You haven't even talked to her, and you're in love with somebody who you haven't even talked to. That is irrational. It's obsession. So the question is, why are you so obsessed with somebody who you don't know, who you've barely talked to? Maybe you think you know them, you have an idea, you're assuming that they're a good person or they're cool or whatever. This can happen for women too. Sometimes women get obsessed with guys and you don't know who the other person is. And sometimes, if you ever had that friend who is wise enough to actually ask you, so you like so-and-so, what's so good about her? Why do you like her? And then you realize, actually, you know what, you're thinking it's kind of embarrassed to admit that I don't really have a good reason that I like this person so much. It's just they're just attractive, they're cute, and they're good looking, They're so pretty. So if this is you, you got to realize that it's a really superficial motive to be, right? There's no reason to be obsessed with someone. And when someone's, I get that someone can be devilishly handsome or extremely pretty, beautiful. Sometimes a guy gets really obsessed with the girl because she's so pretty and she has such a very unique look to her. You love it and you must have it. You must have her. You're so obsessed. But let me tell you something. It truly is very superficial. It's so surface level. it seems new to you and exciting, and you have to have it because you're young and you haven't experienced like a lot of yeah, you're new to dating, so it's a new experience. You'll take anything, right? But when you go through some dates or you have some relationships, you'll realize that you could get a lot more, and it really may not be that fulfilling to be with someone just because they're hot, because they're good looking. Like they might start pissing you off pretty soon. They might annoy you and get on your nerves all the time. You might find that they're pretty dumb, or maybe they don't have. You might find that they don't have a lot of common sense, and all these things that most people say and agree with, you don't have to argue with. And this person, for some reason, just doesn't see things the way you do, or the way that most people do. And you're like, what's wrong with them? They don't have common sense. It's annoying. But other problems can happen too, right? Other like incompatibilities. That's a big one. You can find a better match out there if you know yourself, if you really know what you want. And you can prepare for the worst. Maybe right? If you're just basing this off of attraction and she ends up being, what if she's a really bad person? What if she's a narcissist? What if he's a narcissist? Right? What if he's got no future? He's got bad habits. He's bringing you down. So you can have so much more. It'll be way more fulfilling to choose the right person. Being obsessed with somebody just because they're good looking, from my point of view, it's not a reason to be in love with somebody. It's not a good reason to be obsessed with somebody. And sometimes even what happens is we make something more than what it really is. We might think that she has this very unique features. She has sunken cheeks and she has these really nice incisors that show when she smiles. She has really nice eyelids that droop over her irises. But then when you stop to really question that, if you look around, if you look at the statistics, you can make up your own statistics to realize that actually, no, they're not that unique. There are many people with those characteristics. The ones that I listed are actually generic, common, average facial characteristics, for example. So if you look at this person more objectively, you might actually realize that they're not as unique as you think, and you're creating a bit of an enhancement in your mind because you like them so much. We do that when we're really into something. We can start seeing things that we want to see that aren't really there. So when it comes to being really fascinated with somebody who is very pretty, very good looking, just know that probably those traits that they have are much more common than you realize. Beauty is common. There are good looking people everywhere. Try not to get so obsessed with somebody just because they have very unique facial features and other surface physical characteristics, because sometimes those characteristics are very unique and outstanding. And when they are, and you're obsessed with somebody just because of that, well, now you've locked yourself in. And that's why you have Oneitis, because if you have found somebody who's so different and beautiful just on the surface level, then yeah, they're unique enough that you won't find anyone who looks like them or sounds like them in the town you're in or the city. It'll take a long time to find another person who's like a lookalike. So you're totally screwed at that point. You won't be able to stop thinking about them. And like I said, but are they really even worth it? Do you really want to be with this person You're so obsessed with their appearance. You don't know who they are, or maybe you do know who they are, but are you sure that they're right for you? Are you really gonna have fun with this person? Do they care about the stuff that you are really into? Because if you have really intense interests and values and stuff, if you have strong values on things like politics or religion or other kinds of morals, or you have intense interests, certain video games or certain sports and stuff, I mean, I'm telling you, you can find a better match, and they're out there. There are many better matches out there. They're not going to look exactly like her, but they'll be better for you. It's going to be so much more fun, way more enjoyable. You're going to feel really close to this person too. You're going to feel connected to them. Like she'll feel like your wife, he'll feel like your husband, because you're so similar. So I highly recommend it. This Oneitis thing is such a self-deceiving trap. You'll be stuck with it if you keep up this Oneitis. But if you start realizing the abundance of beauty out there, that's both in physical appearance, which is common, and if you can mix that with the compatibility, what you'll be able to find is lots of really good compromises where the person doesn't quite have the exact appearance you're looking for, but you're not so attached to it anymore, and they have much better compatibility. And not to mention, it's also possible just to find someone who's very different than who you're stuck on right now, but equally physically attractive, just different though, right? Not the same features, different, but equally attractive and much more compatible. So that's my recommendation. Oneitis is a pretty irrational and very superficial condition. So please consider compatibility when you're dating. And also, if you're watching this and you are really young, like a teenager, I also just don't recommend dating if you're like less than 18 years old, because that is where so much of the drama and emotional trauma happens. Sabay Sata Suki Hontu.